Hello, my name is Doko, and I make celebrity gossip and drama videos on YouTube.com for the purposes of beguiling and intriguing the viewer into entertaining and satirical comedy videos that are designed to make the viewer laugh. I'm real! I'm real, believe it or not. Look, I'm speaking in a normal voice. 2 plus 2 is 4. I understand basic arithmetic. I am a real person. Now, I don't know how to prove that to you, but there's been a few people, not a lot. There's been a few people in my comment sections who think that I'm not a real person. Now, that was when I was talking like a robot man, you know? I've talked like that in videos, but now I'm talking normal and real. Here, hello. You see? AI can't do that. We're not that far into technology yet. You must believe that this is real, right? So now that you know that I'm real, let me explain why people think that I'm not. And I'm not an expert in AI, right? I don't really know anything about it. I've used it in videos to make my workflow more productive, but I don't make AI videos and I don't have any interest in it. I've only ever used it just to do menial work that can be done quicker with a tool, AI. And I haven't even used it on this channel, except one time, and it wasn't very good in the Tom Cruise video. That wasn't good AI. I've used it on other channels, but what I know of AI is that it is not something that can create a world. We're not at that point yet, anyway. And it's not something that can trick you, the viewer, into like thinking that an entire person is real. Not yet, okay? It might get to that point. But before it gets to that point, I want to say this, right? I have been on the receiving end of people saying that I'm not a real person. So I have other videos, you may have seen them, you may have not, and they are like surreal, absurd satire on celebrity drama and gossip videos. And the joke for me, I don't like explaining this because it's self-explanatory, but the joke is that I put in like real work in order to make something like aesthetically interesting. Interesting is a bad word, but to make it stand out and to make the editing so good that it's ridiculous that someone would make a 22-minute video which is just total nonsense. That's the joke to me. But what inadvertently happened is that people actually just don't believe that it's possible for someone to put in actual real work with their mind to make a big project that has quote unquote no value, right? Now, what they don't see is that the value of it is the fact that someone would do that. But it's become a talking point now that when you see something that seems like it would take too long, something that would take too long to make, people say, oh, it's AI. And so I'm in some of these videos that I've made, and because they think, oh, this project is too big for someone to have possibly bothered making, it has to be AI, but I'm in it, you know? Like my real self, you can see me here, I'm a real person, right? You must believe that, okay? And I've had comments where people are like, Doko Oki, are you real? And like, if you're real and you're reading this, then I just want to say, thanks for making a great video. And it's so bizarre to get a comment like that, to say like, hey, if you're real, thanks for making this video. Like, does that even have to be questioned? And I want to just explore the reason why that's even a question. I think that AI has killed absurdism. And you could say, to some extent, maybe I'm not going this far, but it has killed cinema and fiction. Because it used to be the case, let's go back to the 70s, when the tools that you have available to make films are quite limited, so you have to use real props, and you have to move the camera in a real way with your hands to make certain things happen on screen, which are beyond what is possible like in the human experience. And you would use like tape editing, and you would manipulate tape in order to create something that can't be seen with the human eye. And so I think the death of absurdism and surrealism in media One is AI, because everyone just thinks when they see something surreal, oh, that was AI. But before that, before we even got to this point, it was already happening. Because the real world killed satire, you could say. Back in 2016, I was listening to this Irish podcaster who I'm not going to name because he is not a good guy, but I used to think he was clever. And he said that when Donald Trump became president in 2016, it killed satire because making fun of the world can no longer be absurd because the real world is so absurd that there's nothing you could make up that can't happen in real life. And I thought at the time, you know what? This is bullshit. Satire and absurdism is alive and well, and I'm going to prove it. And since then, I have tried to do so, and over the years it gets harder and harder to make something otherworldly because stuff in the real world will happen that is just even crazier than you could make up in your head. And then that informs what fiction is. So it used to be the case that society was very structured and meaningful, and like if there was a film is generally serious. A film takes itself seriously. So then if you see a film that doesn't take itself seriously, like the 2000s comedy movies like Scary Movie and those kind of things that were taking the piss out of like normal movies, people are like, oh my god, this is fucking hilarious. Charlie Sheen is in a movie and he's like being silly. This is mind-blowing. And there was billions of dollars made off of this concept. And now it's just absolutely a given that maybe Charlie Sheen is dead serious in a proper Hollywood movie, which is terrible. And that would be normal. That's not a joke. And if you made a joke out of it, people wouldn't even know it's a joke movie. They would just think, oh, this movie's shit. And you know, like you live in the real world, right? You've seen a movie in the past like 10 years. You know that that's the truth. So the thing that I want to say about AI is that we were already in this point where real world is so absurd. But then when you introduce AI, people haven't a fucking clue what to think is real anymore. And it's actually getting to a point where even I'm concerned about it. You know, like I'm the one who wants to make the thing where people question if it's real or not. And so on this channel, I made a video which is entirely about, I made a couple videos about this concept of like truth being blended with fiction in a way where you can't tell which is which. The thing that I didn't expect is that people would think I am not real. Because that was totally not part of what I was going for. In no way was I trying to make you think that I'm AI. And I was thinking like, how can I even be in control of what I assume people will believe or not if they don't even believe me? Just because I'm talking in a weird voice, you know? And as the creator of something, like, you want to have some amount of control over like, okay, what I'm saying here is based in truth, but there's little grains of truth in it, and it's surrounded by like fiction, you know? And then there's other times when you're just, you are being straight up sincere. I'm just being normal here for this purpose of like plot progression, or just for like the ease of making a video. Like it would be easier for me to get on camera than it would be to create an AI model of someone to look realistic enough for people to believe it. But then how can you be in control of what like you understand to be real when other people aren't believing the basic premise of anything? And the reason why I think it's gotten to this point is that when you're on social media, which everyone and their grandmother is these days, right? You see things like back to back, which are not contextually relevant or related to each other at all. So for example, you could be on Twitter and the first thing you see is a tweet from Joe Biden, and he says, "Thank you everybody, I was so happy to be president, a sincerely biggest thanks to America, okay, bye-bye, Joe out." And let's just say that was a sincere post, that was like Joe Biden's resignation. And then the next thing you see is Joe Biden and Donald Trump kissing in the White House. And it's a completely realistic looking photo. And you know that the photo is AI. Mostly because of common sense, because you think, well, Joe Biden and Donald Trump probably weren't making out in the White House. But there's nothing anywhere to tell you that that photo isn't real. So you just have to use your mind to realize that the tweet from Joe Biden saying goodbye, America, I'm going away now, that's real. But the photo that came directly underneath it, which looks as real as the first one, isn't real. And that's on you. That is your responsibility to figure out. And look, I'm getting a bit into Cartesian philosophy here, but we all think that we have such good sense. We all think, I have the best opinions. I'm smart. I know shit. My opinions are the best opinions. Everything I think is correct because I'm me. And why would I think something that's not correct? But everyone else is stupid. Everyone else is flawed. Everyone else is like, oh, that guy, you know that guy? He thinks this, totally wrong. Or, oh, you'd be the type of guy to believe that, right? We all believe that we have good sense and that other people are lacking in it. And that we don't need any more good sense. It's other people who need good sense. I'm talking about like common sense here, you know? And so, when we're looking at stuff and we see something that's definitely AI, we're like, that's definitely AI. But what if it wasn't? And then the opposite, which is even worse, you see something and you think it's real, and it is AI. And no one's gonna tap you on the shoulder and say, hey buddy, you were wrong. You're just gonna go about your life believing that. And this goes not even just with AI, this goes with video in general, or anything that you see online. You have no idea if it's real or not. And this is the bit that I'm particularly interested in. You don't know if it's mostly real, but a little bit of it's fake. So when I make a video where like 80% of it is total lies, it's total bullshit, and 20% of it is true, you don't know what to think, you know? And I thought that was where the fun comes from, you know? So you're trying to figure out which bit's true and which bit's fake. And so it was a bit of a shock. And the thing that's like really shocking to me is that if there's one thing in this world, one thing that we are all very good at, we are masters of this, it's detecting what is a real human or not. This is something Matt Johnson, the director, talks about all the time, is that as an audience, when we're watching something, we are experts at figuring out if someone's acting or not. So if you see someone acting in a movie, or like even better in like a bad YouTube video, you know they're acting. And it's the smallest thing. Like, you know, like a real person wouldn't say that. Or like a real person wouldn't have the soy face, you know? That's not how people react when they're shocked. Oh my God! Unless they're extremely shocked, which would be very rare to get on camera to capture that. So we know what's not real or not, like to a really fine biological intuitive sense. So for people to see me on camera and think that I'm not real, even though I'm not even trying to trick you into thinking I'm not real, that's so bizarre to me. And it's not because AI is so sophisticated. It's actually not about that at all. It's because we're being told so often that AI is the future. There's money in AI, billions and billions of dollars in AI. It's important. It's the next big thing. Pretty soon, everything's going to be AI. Everything that you see in the world will be AI. Your fridge is going to be AI. You are going to be AI. This is what the conversation is around it, and people are expecting around every corner. They think that there's going to be this AI video that blows their mind, and they're like, oh my God, it's just transcended to the next level. AI to the next level. That's what people are expecting. So then when they see something which is just straight up manual labor, you know, like editing a video in a complicated way, they're like, this is it. This is fucking it. This is from the future. I'm like, no, the video I made is from the past. The distant past. I'm just using video editing software that was available 15 years ago. That's it. But you're just not used to seeing that. And that's why I thought that it was interesting to show you. Because you haven't seen it. And that's where the value comes from, because this is a new type of thing, and you should, as a person who likes creative stuff, you should be watching it and being like, oh, a new creative thing that's like something I've never seen before. But instead, it's just reduced to this piece of shit like, here we go. Someone probably clicked 2 sentences on a website somewhere and made this 23-minute video. And it's like all of the good content, and when I say content, I mean the literal contents of what was produced, gets relegated to like the lowest level of slop. And I totally get it. Like, I totally get it. I am not like bitter about that or anything. But then it makes me wonder, what's the point of making something like that? What's the point of making a good video if it looks like it's AI? Now, never mind actually using AI. What if you made something that's like really good, really clever, really complicated, really funny, in your opinion? I'm not saying that about my own video, but what if you made that and you put it out and then everyone just says, AI slop. Oh yeah, fuck you, pal. Yeah, thanks for ruining my day by uploading this AI video. And you're like, but it's not. It's me. And they're like, oh yeah, so you're telling me that you've got a weird sense of humor? That you would put loads, like hundreds of hours of effort into something just because it's funny to fuck with people by making something so stupid and putting so much effort in? And you're like, yeah, that's exactly what I did. And they're like, nah, you're fake. You're fake, man. You don't exist. Get out of my head. You know, that's not the kind of world I want to be in. I'm thinking about, now I'm not a big cinema fan, but like, 30 years ago, you could make a surreal movie that has like monsters and ghosts and impossible things that could never happen. And because people are going to the cinema, they assume that what they're seeing isn't real. Unless at the start of it says, based on a true story. In which case they think it's literally absolutely 100% real, that someone had a camera in this house where the man was murdering with a chainsaw. But generally, if you go to the cinema, you're in the mood to see something fake. And your disbelief is suspended. And you're like, show me what you got. Show me the fakeness. I want to... And then you watch the movie, and in 10 minutes, you are transported into this world. And you're happy to be there. But then with social media, you assume everything is real. Okay? Because YouTube, the concept of YouTube, is that it's just a man in a room with a camera, just like I'm doing right now, speaking their genuine thoughts, which I am. That's what YouTube, that's what we think of it to be. But it's not the case. It used to be. It used to be that. But now everything on YouTube is fake, Even if it's not AI, it's people talking bullshit. It's stuff that's pointless, honestly. There's almost nothing on YouTube that is just like a totally authentic person speaking their mind. And I wouldn't say there's nothing, but like, that's not what YouTube is anymore. And so the point being, why are we going to YouTube with the expectation of seeing real, authentic stuff when hardly any of it's authentic? But then at the same time, when we're skeptical of something, we completely dismiss it as AI or a scam or something. And it's not because we have this fine intuition of being able to detect like, this is fake, this is real. It's that we're being led to believe that things are either 100% fake or 100% real. And the idea of putting like fiction on YouTube, like something that's not even trying to be real, is very confusing. Because you're like, wait, what? He's saying untruths on purpose? For entertainment? And I'm supposed to know that it's not true? How am I supposed to know? Who is telling me that this is true or not? That's how I see it. And my artistic take on this is that it's actually a very strange thing to make meaningful creative work on YouTube, which is something I've been trying to do, and I've talked about this a couple days ago on this channel. But what I mean by that is I think that the best creative work is something that is based around fiction. So you can tell a fictional story that has truth in it, right? So you can create a character that's like an amalgamation of different people. Like this character is an avatar for like every 23-year-old white male in America. It's not a literal real person who has specific flaws and a specific life story. You can create a fictional person who represents more people than an actual real person could represent. And so you can tell that story and put this character in a situation, and you can create the things that happen to that character which tell truths about the world, and then the character's realization about like what they've experienced and how they change because of what they've experienced is like, it's crafted in such a perfect way because it was created intentionally. Like the artist is God in this example, you know, everything happened for a literal reason, and then the character changed and his philosophy came from what he saw, and you can create all this and it speaks to a truth. But in real life, if you tell a real person's story, there's going to be stuff that doesn't make sense, because people do things that don't make sense. You'd be like, hey, how come in this story the guy spent all his money on gambling? What was the point of that? And in real life, it's like, oh, well, the point of that was he just was addicted to gambling and it was bad and it ruined his life. The end. But in a fictional story, you can use that as a device to teach you something about gambling or whatever. You know, it's in there because it has a meaning. And so on YouTube, because everything is perceived as being like 100% real or 100% fake, it's very hard to impart meaning in something that's fictional, because unless you literally tell people that this is fiction, because like people are expecting it to be real, and they know that like in real life, people's lives don't follow this set story the way they do in movies. So if you tell a fictional story, they'll be like, no, that's not true, because that's not how life works. And you're like, I know, but that's why it's fiction, because it tells a truth about the real world without being real. And people are like, no, it's fake. That's fake. Fake story. Next. Let's see what Moist Critical has to say about the latest video game. Anyway, that's kind of a unique stance that I have, because I like to create fictional, fake stories on YouTube. I just didn't expect it to turn into an AI conversation. And I just want to answer one more thing about like, what is this channel? People think that I'm AI, and then when I say that I'm not AI, they're like, so, well, what's the point? What are you trying to say on YouTube? And kind of ironically, what I'm trying to do on YouTube is to actually just be real. I am actually just uploading things that I find fun to make, and things that I think, oh, I would like to see a video that's like this. And then I make it, and that's what I'm doing. And that's how real people do things in the real world. And I'm not criticizing anyone for not understanding what I'm doing, but people are expecting, they're like, what's your brand? Like, what's the meaning of this channel? Like, I think I figured it out. There was a comment that's like, I figured out what this channel is. And they're like dissecting it. But what it is it's just things that I think are good to upload. But the reason why it's confusing is because the things that I want to upload are different. And they're not normal. But that's because I'm not normal. You know? Just in the way that real people aren't like rigid versions of what you expect them to be. So the reason why it's probably hard to figure out what I'm going to upload next is because I have desires that change dramatically, and also I have a very unusual like taste. So it's going to be a little bit confusing. But ironically, I am just being real. Alright guys, I'll see you in the next video. Bye bye.